There will never be Islamists. There are no Islamists. Islamist is a fictional word. You may as well come and say, those ISIS are not real Muslims. Those weren't real Muslims. That's not real Islam. Those are Islamists doing Islamism. And do me a favor, send me a copy of the Islamist Quran. If you have a copy of the Islamist Quran, please send it to me. I'd love to read it and see what's different, because those are Muslims. Because well-meaning idiots are using fake invented terms to try to disassociate jihad from Islam. Jihad is the core of Islam. It's an obligatory requirement in Islam. These are Muslims. Call them what they are. Stop lying for Islam. Because if you're going to give it the wrong name and the wrong idea and the wrong concept, you are lying and perpetuating the problem. You are misdirecting attention from the truth. These are Muslims. The difference is rukhsa and azima, strictness and lenience, strictness and expedience. That's the difference. Muslims all do jihad. All Muslims are required to do jihad. Violent jihad is obligatory. It is an obligatory action that must be done. It cannot be avoided. They must do murder. Holy murder, jihad, must be done. And the rest have to assist in various ways. Yeah, no, I have to ask, is someone who promotes the word Islamist, is he a closet fifth columnist working for the enemy? Is he trying to promote the lie because he's trying to help the Muslims? All Muslims are politically active. Islam is a political ideology. It is defined as a political ideology. It is optional. Religion is an optional definition in the definition of Islam. So, but moving on. So, yeah, I mean, when we use the wrong terms, you're going to come to the wrong conclusion. When you have the wrong ideas, you're going to come to the wrong conclusion. If you ask all the wrong questions, you're going to come to the wrong answers. So it's like saying that's not real Islam, that's not real Muslims, that's just aiding and abetting. That's all it's doing. It's just perpetuating the problem. So that's lying for Muslims, lying for Islam. And I've got to ask yourself, are you part of the problem or part of the solution? Well, you're part of the problem. So expedient, right? A trick, a stratagem, a way to achieve a particular end. False or insincere behavior, artifice. It's an integral part of what Muslims are doing with hiyal, artifice. Right? The word comes up. Now, artifice, deception or trickery, right? Made up to achieve an end, deceiving, a stratagem. So these words are used to describe, as we saw through these other resources, to describe hiyal, to describe what the Muslims are doing, crafty or subtle deception, stratagems, contrivance, trickery, guile, craftiness. You can see over and over, subterfuge, deception, deceit, duplicity, artful contrivance, right? A clever trick, right? We've seen all these. So here you've got artifice, a crock of shit, a pack of lies, fiction to stretch the truth, bad faith, falsification, myth to perjure. So when these words are used to describe what the Muslims are doing, their methods, adab al-jadal, hiyal, these are not good terms in any way. Also, for those who aren't aware, I spent 11 years living in the Middle East. I worked a lot of that time in national defense. I've been to all of the, shall we say, dysfunctional areas. I've seen the dysfunction. I've seen the destruction Islam brings. If you think it's not coming to your town, it's coming. If you allow Islam to spread, what's happening in Syria, what's happening in Iraq, what happened everywhere else, it is coming to your town if you don't stop it. What happened on October 7th, that's going to become normal. That'll be Tuesday in Paris. That'll be Tuesday in Brussels. I've seen this stuff with my own eyes. It is horrific. This is apparently like the greatest scholar of Islam. And we have to see what he has to say about Islam's doctrine of life. Now, I just want to lead with this for a moment. Curse when lawful. To curse means to drive away something from God. This applies to things which are already distant from God, such as infidelity, oppression. And they have very specific meanings of how they mean these words. It is lawful to curse the unbelievers and the oppressors with such words as are permitted by the Sharia. And of course, curse especially upon a people as curse upon the Jews and upon the Christians. So Muslims are permitted to, and in fact encouraged to curse you because you already, Allah hates you. You are far from Allah. Allah has rejected you. So Muslims must also curse you to drive you even further.
Like, I'm sure most Muslims will not know or ever read those things that you're talking about, but it is ingrained in them.
It's part of the culture. It's been in the culture for 1,000 years. It's ingrained in them for 1,000 years. It's implicit. It's implicit, not always explicit. I mean, there are sources in Arabic that I can't read that are probably far worse than this. And in fact, 60% of the Muslim sources are probably in Urdu. So you've got to go to India and Pakistan to find the rest of the sources that are not in Arabic. The majority of the works are in Urdu. And there are some things there that I've discovered that, yeah, aren't so good, but they're not translated. So yeah, so not everything's in Arabic. So now notice they're going to translate these things so nicely. False speaking is permissible in some cases. Yeah, in all cases. Trust me, every day, whole day, all the time, for everything. Lying is permissible. Okay. Sometimes lying, false speaking, sometimes lying becomes compulsory. Sometimes it's compulsory. So, oh, okay. False speaking is better than speaking the truth. Now, remember, this will echo exactly what we said earlier. So now, for instance, to say falsehood in battle or to compromise between two parties. Now, we can ask ourselves, do we have a difference with Muslims? Yes. Do Jews have a difference with Hamas? Yes, of course. Do Jews have a difference with the Muslim Brotherhood? Certainly. But to compromise between two parties, to settle a difference, false speaking is lawful. To settle a disagreement, it is lawful and in fact obligatory for Muslims to lie, because the whole point of their form of argumentation is to win. That's the whole point of adab al-jadal, is to win. So all of this rolls together. So the Prophet did not allow false speaking except in 3 cases, to bring a compromise between two parties. Would you like to compromise with Hamas? Well, they'll lie to you because it's permissible. In any argument, in any form of disagreement with Muslims, they may lie to you. It is lawful, it is obligatory. He who settles disputes between two parties is not a liar. So if you settle a dispute with lies, according to Allah, you're not a liar. Isn't that an interesting set of morals? Now, the Prophet said, Muhammad said, every lie of a man is recorded, but the lie which he speaks in war is not recorded because war is a strategy. So jihad is obligatory upon all Muslims. Jihad is at war with everyone because we're in the Dar al-Harb. We're in the house of war. They live in the house of Islam. So therefore, a lie told for the purposes of jihad is not recorded as a lie. Allah doesn't record those lies, so it's not a sin. So the lie which is spoken to settle the matters between two contending parties. When you're in a debate with a Muslim, you're contending with him. When you are at war with Muslims, you're contending with them. When you're trying to settle a disagreement, you're contending with them. Therefore, it's okay for them to lie, because the lie which is spoken to settle between two contending parties is not written. Allah doesn't see that as a lie. So Muslims can lie to you, in other words, for everything, because they disagree with us over everything. So now the lie which is spoken to please a wife is not recorded. You can lie to your wife. There is sin in every falsehood, but there is no sin in that falsehood which benefits a Muslim or removes a harm from a Muslim. There is no sin in the lie that benefits a Muslim or removes a consequence, a harm from a Muslim. That should
Now, if you use like good old logic, like the old school one, it kind of, there is like an implicit statement here that says women are not Muslim.
Women are not fully human.
Like they're not Muslim.
Yeah, they're property. They're not of an equal. So the Prophet said, he who commits fornication will keep it secret with the secrecy of Allah, because to disclose an obscene act is also an obscene act. So doing the deed is not the bad thing, but to tell people about it, to speak about it. I saw Jamal diddling a 5-year-old is the actual sin. That's the wrongdoing. Not that Jamal did it, because if you just kept your mouth shut, you see, because when you hide a sin of a fellow Muslim, Allah will hide your sins. You'll see this as we go. So if you see Jamal diddling the 3-year-old and you keep your mouth shut to protect Jamal, Allah will keep his mouth shut when it comes to your turn for judgment in paradise. And you'll go, you kept your mouth shut, so I'll pretend I didn't see your sins, buddy. Off you go. Have a nice life with your 72 huris. Do you understand? That's how Islamic eschatology works. That's the morality here. To disclose evil is evil, because it brings embarrassment and shame dishonor and shame upon Islam. So keep your mouth shut. That's how that works. So every man should sometimes save his life and his honor, taking recourse to falsehood. So if a Muslim needs to save his life, his property, or his honor, his respect, he should take recourse to lying. And if an inquiry is made to you about a secret thing of your brother Muslim, you can deny it to preserve his honor. So the terrorist who murdered 3 people, 12 people, 15 people, have you seen it? No, I have. You see, it's legal to lie to protect other Muslims, because the worst sin of a Muslim is better than just being a kafir. Unfortunately, that's the logic as it works here, right? If harm is caused more than benefit in the case of speaking the truth, then avoid speaking the truth. If the consequence of speaking the truth is there'll be, I don't know, your fellow Muslim will go to prison or something, then don't do it. So understand, and uttering a dual word, now that's important. A deceptive word with double meanings, ambiguous meanings, saves you from falsehood. So lying will save you from lying. So they have different degrees of deception. Saying ambiguous, sophist things will save you from outright lying, because they distinguish between outright telling a lie and telling something that's ambiguous. You know, a hammer obviously has a little bee in his bonnet. So now they speak of backbiting. Okay, we'll briefly talk about that because that goes into what's called ghibba, which is slander. Okay, so let me see if I have anything additional on that topic. Yeah, okay, so that's enough of that. I'll cancel this and we'll go to this one. So now I've got to go to namima. So we'll have a look at something else here. Right, so this defines the morality of Islam. And so now notice tale-bearing, okay? Not this definition, tale-bearing, namima. Tale-bearing, as they mentioned here, is not limited to that, but rather consists of revealing anything whose disclosure is resented. And this takes us to slander. Now, in Western law, slander is to tell a lie about someone. In Islam, slander is to tell the truth about something or someone that they don't want told. It's as simple as that. So to slander a Muslim is to tell the truth. To slander a Westerner is to lie. A complete inversion. Your thoughts there? So, need to look at slander. And ghaba. Okay, if you notice something good, it is sunnah to mention it. It's habit, it is custom, it is example to mention it. But if you notice something bad, it is unlawful to mention it. This is slander. To notice something bad about a Muslim and to talk about it is slander. Okay, this is in the context of the deceased, but it goes on to other examples as well. So slander, ghibba. Slander means to mention anything concerning a person that he would dislike. Not something that's untrue, just something you wouldn't like. But of course...
But it also depends on the audience. It's not exactly like...
Well, because...
I think a better translation would be like something that presents you in a bad light.
Not necessarily, because saying that stealing money from the till, that's true. But that presents a Muslim in a bad light, which brings dishonor of Islam. So therefore, keep silent about it.
Yeah, but if the audience would be somebody who would like say, "Oh, this is so cool, you stole from them," then it's, you know, I think it depends on whether it's perceived as negative or positive rather than...
Islam has a different, I mean, as Westerners, we think in a very specific method that's typically very logical and has a certain moral calculus to it. In Islam, they don't share that. They don't share those ideas. Well, superficially, they might. They use the same words. They use them in opposite ways. And they'll use them in a way that suits you now because they've got eyes on them, you know, but later turn your back and things change. So you can't assume that. So for instance, slander is bad, right? Except there are 6 reasons permitting slander. Do you want to slander those Jews, those nasty Jews? Do you want to slander those horrible Christians? Do you want to slander anyone you don't like? Well, yeah, go ahead and knock yourself out. Slander is fine as long as Muslims are doing it. See, you can do slander. And what does slander mean? You can say, well, things that are untrue too. Understand? So that's the difference here. They have completely inverted morality. It's completely upside down morality. And that's what that is. Right. So So ghibba, we've done that, and now I've got to go to this section. So notice here within the Sharia, if you look at this index, you have lying, a chapter on lying, you have unlawful lying, which is fine because the Sharia contradicts itself, it goes against itself. You have permissible lying, and then you have obligatory lying. So, you know, they have lying that's obligatory. And notice circumventing those forbidding the permissible. Like, for instance, Israel is currently forbidding Hamas from murdering all the Israelis. So what must they do? They must circumvent those forbidding the permissible. Right? I have a channel, I talk about Islam, and I also have multiple hours reading from, never mind, I shouldn't trigger old hammer anymore. But you're welcome to come on and have a discussion with me in the future, and you might be shocked to find out that your icon has the dirtiest morality you've ever seen. But anyway, so you've got obligatory lying, they're permitted to lie, and they will lie. So let's have a look at that. And notice that if you can also give a misleading impression, and there are alternatives to lying outright. So you see they have alternatives to outright lying. So let's go find section R8.2. And then there's this section, which is very interesting, explaining the Quran by personal opinion. Muslims love to come tell you, but the Quran means, and this section states bluntly, a Muslim, a lay Muslim that explains the Quran from his opinion is wrong. It's not ambiguous. It says he's wrong. His opinion has no value. You must get it from a scholar. You can ignore every lay Muslim, but of course they lie to you because, well, that's what they have to do. So let's find R8.0 and look at the discussions on lying. Notice it also says he who settles disagreements between people to bring about a good, anything that benefits Islam, or says something commendable, is not a liar. So these are repeated across the Sharia manuals. A permissible lying, right? The Prophet permitted untruth in settling disagreements or smoothing over differences. So the UN went and had a little chat with Giuliani, and things were going to be awesome. He lied to them because that's how you smooth over things, right? So this is an explicit statement that lying is permissible for a given interest, right? And we can find what kind of lies are lawful, right? Speaking is a means to achieve objectives. And it's shocking how when you read about Muhammad, what Muslims tell you, and then you read the actual Islamic works, and you go, these two are completely different. Oh my God, Ghazali's back. He says, speaking is a means to achieve objectives. So when it is possible to achieve these Islamic objectives by lying, but not by telling the truth, it is permissible to lie if attaining the goal is permissible. And if it is obligatory to attain that goal, then it is obligatory to lie if the goal is obligatory. And then they go on and talk about different forms of lying. It is not unlawful to lie when these aims can only be attained through lying. Islam permits lying. It's blatant. It is more precautionary religiously to employ words that give a misleading impression. So when you're not lying outright, then deceive. It's as simple as that. Now notice they speak of deceiving as the outward meaning of the words deceives the hearer. The outward meaning deceives the hearer. They are speaking of deception over and over and over. Okay, so you are entitled to lie. Yeah, if telling the truth is going to be bad, then you're entitled to lie. Muslims are entitled